In the United States, you walk up to a pharmacist and based off the plastic card that you hand them or don't hand them, the exact same bottle of pills can cost $3, $10, $200, $250, or even $600. How is that possible? In any other industry, charging 5 drastically different prices for the exact same commodity would trigger a federal investigation. But in US healthcare, this is standard operating procedure. Everybody knows drug prices in the US are incredibly confusing, but most people don't realize that there isn't actually one price for a drug. There are 5+. I wanted to know exactly why our system is designed this way and who benefits from keeping the real cost of medicine a secret. So let's take a look at the 5 different costs of medicine in the United States. Let's dive in. So first thing first, we have to start with a baseline. This is called a drug's list price, or what the healthcare industry calls the wholesale acquisition cost. Think of the list price as the official sticker price set by the pharmaceutical manufacturer or the drug maker. The crazy thing about this price is it's essentially an illusion. It's an artificial anchor that is deliberately set much higher than what they expect anybody to actually pay. Why? Well, because our entire system runs on rebates, or what some people have called kickbacks. Think of it like a phone that has a $1,000 sticker price, or just a $1,000 price, and a $300 mail-in rebate. But instead of you getting that $300 back whenever you mail in that rebate, the middleman keeps it. And because the middleman's fee is based off the size of that rebate, they don't mind if that phone actually has a higher list price. So let's say there's a brand name drug that has a list price of $100. We'll make it an even 100 to make it easy. The drug manufacturer might actually only get $60 for that drug because they gave $40 back as a rebate to one of these groups. In fact, the gap between the fake list price and the real net price is staggering. In 2024, industry data showed that brand drug manufacturers gave back roughly $356 billion in rebates and discounts to these PBMs. And because PBMs make their money by taking a percentage of these rebates and sharing it with the company or government or wherever else they're working with, they actually are incentivized to favor drugs that have a higher list price because then they get a bigger rebate. This means the middleman is getting more money. Here's what the former CEO of a major drug manufacturer said about the high list price.
If you bring a product to the market with a low list price in this system, you get punished financially and you get no uptake because everyone in the supply chain makes money as a result of a higher list price.
But because consumers like you and I are rarely paying the initial list price, it really serves as more of an opening bid in a chess game, a corporate chess game where the higher the list price, the more rebates these middlemen are gonna make. But it creates a significant ripple effect that inflates out-of-pocket costs for everybody else down the line. Let's go down that line. Now, what happens if you don't have insurance or you choose not to use your insurance? You basically get hit with the cash price, which is basically a penalty for being uninsured. If you walk into a pharmacy without insurance, they're gonna charge you their usual and customer, UNC price. This is the pharmacy's official retail price, and it's set astronomically high on purpose. A recent analysis of 5 popular generic drugs showed an astonishing 20-fold difference in cash prices across different pharmacies. So why would a pharmacy mark up a $28 generic drug to $1,000? It's a defense mechanism. Pharmacies know that insurers or insurance companies and PBMs will never actually reimburse them for more than their UNC price. So to ensure that they never accidentally get underpaid, they set that cash price artificially high to act as an absolute ceiling. But unfortunately, the victims of this defense mechanism are usually those who don't actually have the finances to be able to afford it. Because they don't have a giant corporation negotiating for them, they're asked to pay this wildly inflated markup price in some cases. Now on to those who actually do have insurance. Now, if you have work insurance, you might think, this doesn't really affect me. I go to the pharmacy, I pay my $10 copay, and I leave with my drug. I'm done. This is the third price. The copay is essentially a shield, and it hides the true cost of the drug from you, giving you price certainty. You feel like you're getting a great deal, completely oblivious to the fact that the total cost of the drug might be hundreds or even thousands of dollars, which is being paid by your employer or through your monthly premiums that you pay into insurance. But here's where the copay system actually blatantly works against you. Studies show that in 23% of all prescription fills, the patient's copay actually exceeded what the insurance company paid for the drug. One analysis found that for generic drugs, patients overpaid 28% of the time, averaging an overpayment of $7 per fill, meaning the insurance company got the drug for $3, but because your copay was $10, you actually ended up paying more. You just overpaid for a drug while holding an insurance card, and you definitely paid for that drug with your premiums as well. Is there a way around this? Yes, on to the next. Now, this bizarre reality has given way to the fourth price, which is the GoodRx price. Apps like GoodRx allow anyone to pay cash at the pharmacy using a coupon that yields a steep discount. So how does this work? Well, GoodRx has partnered with multiple PBMs, those same middlemen that we spoke about who inflate drug costs, but GoodRx taps directly into their heavily negotiated network rates. When you show a pharmacist a GoodRx code, you're essentially routing your cash transaction through a PBM's network, allowing you to pay the discounted corporate rate instead of the pharmacy's ridiculous UNC cash price. And in some cases, cases, the costs are actually lower than insurance. Here's some data on that. For this common generic, the insurance copay averaged $13.34, while the GoodRx listed at $3.36. The pharmacy only accepts this lower price because it brings in foot traffic, more customers. GoodRx takes a cut of the transaction fee that the PBM charges the pharmacy behind the scenes, and the patient finally gets to pay the real negotiated rate without needing an insurance claim. Now let's talk about the most extreme price of all, the hospital price. If you're given a medication while staying in a hospital or visiting the ER, it isn't billed through a normal pharmacy. It's billed through the hospital's internal charge master, a master list of heavily inflated prices used to negotiate with health insurance companies for medical coverage. How inflated are we talking? One analysis found that hospital charge master prices for common generic drugs were 6,000% higher than retail pharmacy prices. A generic antibiotic that costs a normal pharmacy 50 cents to acquire might show up on your itemized hospital bill for $3, $11, or even more per pill. I've done a previous video on a Tylenol pill, one single Tylenol pill, showing up on somebody's hospital bill for over $500, which I'll put at the end screen here at the end of this video. But if you have good in-network insurance, your insurance company negotiates this massive number down behind the scenes. But if you're out of network, or worse, you're uninsured, you can get stuck holding the bag for a completely fabricated hospital markup. It's why medical debt is a uniquely American crisis. And really, none of these numbers actually represent what a drug actually costs to make. They only represent what the system can get away with charging. If you found this video interesting, you'd like to see more like it in the future, please consider subscribing for more. This is Tyler Dutchover. Thanks for watching.